The future is now. Some of the top high school players in the country have signed up to play football in the Mountain West. Hi, everybody. I'm Jesse Kurtz in the Mountain West Network studio. For more on who fans can maybe expect to become the next big stars in the Mountain West, we bring in our good friend, Trieu of 24/7 Sports. Alan, I appreciate your time as always.
Yeah, appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. You, over the last 8 years or so, have helped us get a jump start on getting to know some of those future stars in the Mountain West with your top 5 signees. So we'll ask you to do it again here in 2021. Boise State has a new head coach in Andy AVALOS, who himself was a fierce, competitive linebacker for the Broncos back in the day. Something tells me he's not only going to like the guy, but the position he plays at number 5.
Yeah, Jai Jones is coming up from Texas after an outstanding career at the prep level. He has NFL pedigree. Dad played in the league, has been on the varsity, like I said, for several years, and has been productive during that time. Had 84 tackles, 11 for loss as a junior. A compact guy, 5'11", 232 pounds, really come downhill and hit you. And like you said, perfect fit with the head coach, the position, and the style of play.
Jai Jones, who you mentioned, is the son of a former NFL player. J.J. Jones, who played for the New Orleans Saints, was rated as the 3rd best linebacker in the Dallas area. He's a 3-year starter, had offers from LSU, Georgia, and Baylor, a guy who led his team to the Texas State playoffs each and every year. He's excited to be a part of Andy AVALOS' first class that was put together, let's face it, in part in the middle of a coaching transition. That's pretty tough, but AVALOS credits the coaches who stayed on board from one staff to the other for their help in making the transition seamless on the recruiting trail.
Coach Danielson, Coach Ridd, Coach Miller, Coach Winston, those guys did a tremendous job in making sure that the early signees were brought along through the process, helped connect us all together, and that is a huge advantage. And being that we didn't have to rush, we don't have to rush going forward. We are always going to be very diligent with our evaluation process and how we identify guys, and then going forward, looking for the blue-collar traits, looking for the mindset traits, looking for how guys are able to relate to their teammates and to their coaches.
All right, on to number 4. He's a defensive back out of Southern California who had offers from multiple Pac-12 schools, it sounds like, but he's decided to stay in Southern California to join his brother, Lucky, at San Diego State.
Yeah, Noah Avinger, who is out of Servite High School, talent-producing factory out there in California. As you mentioned, could have gone to several Pac-12 schools, also had offers to leave the West Coast and go out to Boston College or Kansas. And he's coming in as a defensive back, but he's played all over the field in high school. Was a wide receiver, returned kicks, may still do some of that returning at the next level, but a very versatile guy, all-around athlete, track guy, just somebody who brings ball skills and athleticism to the secondary.
That sounds like he's a great fit at San Diego State, which already has a great tradition of cultivating defensive backs. You think of guys like Leon McFadden, DeMonte Casey, Darren Hall, Tariq Thompson, Dwayne Johnson Jr., just to name a few. Easy to see why Noah Avinger would want to join the long line of greatness on the Mesa.
That position is more based on athleticism than quick key reading, and the offensive line and defensive line are the 2 positions, and maybe a quarterback because of their responsibility, but offensive line, defensive line, those 2 positions, they definitely, especially in our defense, they got to be pretty sharp.
Last year, Marcus Arroyo had the number 1 recruit for UNLV on your big board. This year, he has the number 3, and he's a defensive lineman out of Southern California who it looks like had 5 offers from Pac-12 schools and 5 from SEC schools.
Yeah, Nick Dimitris is one of the more interesting guys in this class, and definitely on this list, because he only picked up football and started playing as a junior, and then they didn't play football in California this fall. So we're really going off of one season with Nick, but he showed so much potential in that time at 6'4", 235 pounds, that he picked up those offers from coast to coast. 43 tackles, 9 for loss, and 3 sacks in his first year playing football. Also plays basketball, brings that athleticism to the football field. He's a guy who can rush the passer. Definitely best football ahead of him, but he sure picked it up quickly that first season.
Yeah, no question about it. Nick Dimitris, defensive lineman, headed to UNLV, the number 3 prospect on Alan True's big board for 21. Marcus Arroyo really believes the Rebels are getting a kid, to your point, who has a ton of raw talent with a very high ceiling.
He has not played much football, but has some big-time traits and intangibles. Got a great first step, but still has enough power to be able to play in the run game and split some double teams and be able to take 2 guys on. You know, a really tough kid, comes from a tough background, really humble, you know, has a lot of things. Really built a great relationship here early on, and I think that's really, when you say create an edge in recruiting, that's it. This kid's a perfect example. He could go anywhere in the country, a national kid, and we built a really good, strong relationship with him right away. But great frame, great build. Sky's going to be the limit. We couldn't be more fired up for Nick to get here.
We're up to number 2, and we're headed back to San Diego State. And as a longtime defensive line coach, Brady Hoke knows a great offensive lineman when he sees one. And it sounds like he's got just that and didn't have to go very far to get him at number 2.
Yeah, Josh Simmons, one of those guys where you say, who do we want coming off the bus first? Well, 6'6", almost 290 pounds, Josh Simmons. And you mentioned Brady Hoke being a defensive line coach. Josh was actually a really good defensive lineman himself in high school, but they did a really good job recruiting him. He was committed to Oregon at one point. A lot of analysts thought he might go to USC. San Diego State really stayed in it with him. He had offers from Michigan, Oklahoma, just a giant offer list of schools from around the country. Big, strong kid, wanted to be closer to home, extremely close to his mom. San Diego State kept recruiting him, got him in the end. We think he'll probably end up playing guard, but as a guy who could maybe swing around a little bit on the offensive line.
Yeah, Simmons, big kid, as you mentioned, 6'6", 290 from La Mesa, California. One of the top recruits for San Diego State, according to Alan Trieu of 24/7 Sports. Going to stay home to join San Diego State as part of a recruiting class that Brady Hoke is downright excited about.
We've recruited in a manner that we're going to create competition at all positions. And at the same time, there's some guys who benefit from the development that Adam Hall and what our guys in the strength staff do.
All right, we're up to number 1, and Nevada right now has the reigning Mountain West Offensive Player of the Year in Carson Strong, a quarterback. Jay Norvell and Matt Mumme did a sensational job in cultivating him from a young prospect into an NFL prospect. Again, the reigning Mountain West Offensive Player of the Year. Something tells me, Alan, your number 1 recruit took notice of that.
Absolutely. Clay Millen, quarterback coming in. He was committed to Arizona. Coaching change happens there. He starts looking at schools again, and there's no doubt, and the kid said it himself, Carson Strong's success, the way they throw the football at Nevada, and the coaching staff's ability to develop quarterbacks was a big reason he chose them. And this is a kid, we're bookending the list 5-1 with guys with NFL pedigrees. Dad played in the NFL for 12 years. Brother plays college football. He's got a lot of physical upside. 6'3", 388 pounds right now. He's going to get bigger. He's got the athletic ability to move around in the pocket, can make all the throws on the field. And then with that family history, really understands the game well. So he's going to get some time here to learn from Carson, and I think he's going to be extremely successful.
Yeah, and his efficiency with the football was outstanding. Clay Millen threw for over 3,000 yards, 34 touchdowns, and just 1 interception in his first year as a high school starter. You have to imagine he will flourish in the air raid offense at Nevada. To recap, the top 5 signees in the Mountain West, according to Alan Trieu of 24/7 Sports. At number 5, Jai Jones, a linebacker from Dallas, headed to Boise State. At number 4, Noah Avinger, the latest great defensive back to head to San Diego State. At number 3, Nick Dimitris, a quick, big defensive lineman, headed to UNLV. At number 2, Josh Simmons, a big offensive lineman who will stay home to join San Diego State. And at number 1, Clay Millen, quarterback from the state of Washington, will be a part of the Wolfpack at Nevada. Alan, once again, we really appreciate your time. It's a very busy time for you being a recruiting expert, but your insight is always appreciated. It's spot on, and you're a pro's pro. Thank you so much once again.
It's a yearly tradition by now, so thanks for having me again.
We look forward to it each and every year. You can follow Alan Trieu of 24/7 Sports on Twitter at Alan Trieu. That's ALLENTRIEU. From the Mountain West Network studio, I'm Jesse Kurtz.